said her computer doesn't work.
Whose computer?
That?
What's she talking about?
I don't know. I didn't really understand what she was trying to say.
Okay, so I'm live on YouTube now, and it's working, Peter. It's or wait. I don't know that it's working. Let me check one thing, and then we'll get that started with PJ is. Let me check this one thing. This is our permanent link. Yes, no, that's not me.
My lunch.
Okay, that's it. Okay. All right, whatever. All right. So now,
Next thing is put the file on.
put the presentation on PJ. All right, so you got the mouse and keyboard over there. Copy that to the desktop. Top, the very top. Yeah, just copy that to the desktop. Now, go to Chrome, log into Office 365, and then
That's me.
We give them this.
We give that to them.
They got a mic. Well, let's see. Now the mic's going to be tricky. Well, they'll be able to see it. Here. So they're going to be. They're going to be at the pulpit. What you have to do? You may have to read. Hey, Mr. Bailey.
Mr.
You may have to read, whatever's on the agenda at the beginning, maybe.
I don't even have the agenda.
Well, it's just one item, I think. So,
Can you forward it? Do you have it on your email?
Yes.
You just forward it to my email and I'll pull it up. I have my cell phone. Yeah, I'll pull it up on my cell phone.
The only thing on there is presentation of plans for Oakbrook Gas Reserve Project, presented by the team of Coughlin. ESP, that's it. So you really don't have to do that. You don't have to really do much. Thank you.
Good. They shouldn't even be voting on anything, really.
They're going to be asking questions. They'll probably ask, that's good.
Do I need to move from this seat so they can sit there? The president? Okay, just sit here.
We're going to have them here, and they'll be able to see.
And they have the clicker. Okay.
We'll have a clicker, and they can just do whatever.
Okay.
That way, and this is completely muted, right? Especially if Terry would be here anyway.
We don't have to do anything else.
The meeting is actually started, but I'm not recording. It is live on YouTube right now. So the question is if I get on our town website, can I see it? That's the big question. Right? Is that? That's what I'm seeing. That's today. That's what you're seeing right now. If you got on our
See,
website.
when we're done doing it, we have to share that.
What? I know, we haven't shared the screen yet. So I need to get it.
Here.
There is.
Might as well just leave it.
Okay.
Well,
No, that's the thing.
basically right here, you go to Zoom. Now, if you get on YouTube channel, this is where we weren't getting before.
Right.
We weren't getting the now presentation. People are wondering, what am I watching? There's PJ.
Here.
Sucking all along.
It's hard. Well, I'm so hungry.
Now you should see, this is what we were not getting correct. This is why I want to get Zooms from now on. Because we weren't doing this. So we're way behind on this thing. We're way delayed. Is that? No, we don't need audio.
but
You just close this?
Yeah, does that keep popping up? Or you can uncheck that. So now, the only test we have left is, are the mics on? Things on the back.
Test 1, 2.
Get out of here. Now we go on to this. Alright.
Testing 1, 2. This is a test. Making sure that you can hear us out there in TV land. If you're lucky, you see us on MeTV, channel 13,
TBS.
over the air. What do you think? Got me out there? You good?
Here we go.
Okay.
So you're successfully live streaming.
So you don't need this picture up then either. You don't
I
need.
have that minimized, so you can minimize it, sorry.
You want it more minimized?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
That's perfect. You're square right there, right?
And down here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all they need, Bo. I think we're golden.
So you don't need the keyboard here. You just need the clicker to go. Or need.
They already got the flipper on the podium.
Yep.
It's weird, the only thing I don't like is when you do it. Do on your phone, go to the line and do back on our website. Does it count? Oh,
Maybe because you're on.
that's what I'm thinking. It should pick up for us right now. So, it should go back.
I've got it. I've got it. I just need to know who over the place to do the title. Or they don't get the scared guy.
I thought if anybody was gonna get Peter was gonna get right. I can't believe he did
I was thinking a little more intellectual.
that. I was too. I told you what Cameron told me
Is that what we should do?
Yep. I told you what Cameron told me, right? He said, Apple had a lawsuit involving a whistleblower. And I'm like, yeah, and then he's a lawyer, I'm like, oh, check on boxes.
Somebody else guessed that too. Did you see that in the break room? Somebody else guessed
Yeah,
that same
that's,
thing.
that's someone I discussed it with.
Oh, did you really? And they put, oh my God. Wow, that's kind of shady.
So with your costume, did you follow that?
I mean, they were drawing, there were two ones on the drawing.
I sent my son that video.
Guess I have to go to Somerville and then.
Running board? I was telling you, my son texted me, I sent him a video.
Yeah.
He goes, this is my son talking. He goes, about 3 months ago, Apple had a lawsuit involving a whistleblower. Someone, lawyer, Apple's whistle. I said, we're checking all the boxes.
Check all the boxes.
Running board.
Well, she doesn't,
I had that big black board. And every time.
she's not linked up on the,
With.
Who's not linked up?
wait,
Yeah.
I got a blank picture.
The apple, the whistle.
You're on Barney.
Those were just.
Well, I went to our site.
How did you, TJ got it, I wonder if it's showing me old.
I figured Check didn't figure it out, but anyhow, when Kerry didn't figure it out, I knew it was a little too difficult, maybe.
A simple quote here in Somerville.
Oh. We do it next year, I've got one that will be maybe not quite as hard.
Your middle button.
What I did last time.
Veda?
Oh, I
Let them know, old man.
I have the description of the date on it.
Blind check.
No, we don't. I'll stick
No.
together to say that.
Same thing, I thought I'd go ahead and get the x-rays, wait on the doctor, he comes in and everything, like where it's supposed to be, see me in a year. Had the script figured out.
See, we weren't getting any of that on the
But,
old, so you couldn't
I'll
see
see.
any more presentation.
Put back.
That's on the video, that's not. See,
That's all, okay.
That's online. That's because it's online, bro.
One this week.
Well, at least we got the document.
It is on mine. Let me minimize that. That might cool.
It's an antisaxon, it's the main ingredient, it's an anti-inflammatory. And, this, he knew this guy from, I don't know, he came up and talked to the Rotary Club. Got me some going.
Okay, now wait a
That's
second.
wrong. We're in a meeting now.
Okay, so.
You need a designer one.
I thought I'd get back, it took them forever, it went well.
How you doing?
A lot of people look at it.
Here's for this room.
Okay.
That is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need you up here.
All right. Kim is gonna move down.
I thought you said I need anything up here. Same thing on this on me?
You weren't there when he introduced himself. Amy and I stood up and I'm like, oh, this was useless.
This time I'd like to call the council meeting to order to discuss the Oak Brook Active River Preserve. And this is our final presentation from our consultants. And Amy, I guess I'll turn it over to you, or Mr. Jackson, whoever.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I may have to leave, and I would appreciate it if we could have them go through the whole presentation first before we ask questions.
Okay, that's fine with me, it's all right with them.
I will take it away then, at the ball. Hi, my name's Keene, welcome, I'm the HG Associates. We've been through this a couple times, and sorry, I'm asked also.
Don't forget 6 feet.
Sir, how much time do we have? 10, 15 minutes maybe? No, I've got 30 or 45. Oh, okay, good. I was prepared to do this quick. Now I can slow down, take my time, make everybody understand what we're doing. So we've been working on this for at least 6 months. I think this is our third or fourth council meeting. And bring up to speed where we are in the process. If I can find something to point at to make it work.
Here's the TV.
Turn it off, turn it back on. Everybody always tells me. You go ahead, I'll see what you're. Am I giving you the signal then? Yeah. Okay, we're moving forward, okay. This is really our quick agenda, what we'd like to talk about today. Where we are, give you some idea of where we came from with our preliminary concept plans, where we ended up with the program elements, and then the final master plan, which we have the words right here to see, and then some renderings. I think you're going to be, I was blown away with some of our three-dimensional renderings that we did for the project. And then the numbers, the sections are budget numbers, what we're looking at, and then the next steps. So if I could put it to the next slide. So this is our progress of where we have been. We've gone down the river, and we're about ready to be at the final kayak launch here with the presentation. Just a wee bit of saying now, so we're joining again where we are. So next slide, please. Okay. These were the two preliminary concept plans that we presented to y'all 2 months ago. A being the more minimalistic, let's preserve it kind of concept, and B was let's look at this a little bit more of an active space. I think we all kind of agreed pretty quickly that A was a better option, so we wanted to preserve rather than full-on active park. So from these two concepts, next slide, is really where we started to nail down some of the program elements. As you might remember, before we had two columns. We had an A column and a B column of the different programs that we had, and we've taken this opportunity to kind of streamline it and just put it in one column of what our programs are. So we're really looking at the number of buildings, 3 buildings, and that's one, the large multi-use building, and then 2 restroom facilities. We're looking at about 150 so parking spaces. We'd like to expand the boat landing parking as much as feasibly possible. It's surrounded by woods and wetlands, and we're pushing out on all sides to maximize as much as we can. the boat ramp, really does fill up during the holidays, so we'd like to alleviate some of those parking stresses as possible. An amphitheater, outdoor classroom amphitheater, it's not really a big, amphitheater where Dave Matthews or somebody's going to come in and perform anything. This is a small venue, more of just a gathering along the Worcester Creek side of it. I would call it the classroom. Again, 3 restrooms, 2 of them in buildings and one's in a multi-use facility. Boardwalks, trails, hard trails, multi-use path, just to kind of give you an estimate of the number of lineal feet that we have for those paths, so that we can start to put a budget number on them. We're throwing big numbers at these right now, but that gives you an idea of what we're looking at. Again, these are estimates. I know Amy and I have already talked about, really, when we start to do some sort of soft trails, some sort of mulch trails, we're really going to go out in the field and just kind of walk it and flag it and stake it, do what makes the most sense, because it's kind of hard to visualize what that is on the plan. It's going to be more of a realistic thing. But soft trails, I think we need about 100%. Entry feature, that's the middle gateway that we talked about down the middle of Old Shelby Road. Small island. Put some swings on the riverfront, fishing piers. We talked about adding a few fishing piers, and picnic area. So 5 or so picnic areas. So the next slide. So here's where this is where we ended up for the final master plan. It's small, it's hard to read at this scale, but I will tell you, it does contain all of those program elements that we were discussing. Up in the corner is the building, which leads to, is there a way you can zoom in on that? Yeah, I would not. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Thank you. And from the multi-use building as a parking lot for about 20 or 30 cars. There's a small detention pond around the back of it that we're trying to use as somewhat of an amenity. You understand, we have to conform to DHEC in civil engineering, so we're going to have to have a detention pond. Let's turn it into something nice. From there, we have a long linear boardwalk that goes down to that outdoor classroom or amphitheater along Worcester Creek. It's a nice way to connect to a body of water. It gives you a terminus to look at, and it kind of draws you out of the building into the nice wooded area. From there, there's a series of soft paths and hard paths that take you down to the existing boat landing. And I'm going to zoom out. Existing boat landing, and we tried to, again, stretch out the parking lot as best as we can, make it a little bit more efficient with the boat parking, and then put a lot of the single car parking around the edges. So if you fish off the edge right at the Ashley River, or on the other side, they can park and take a walk through the woods. The cars with the trailers are going to take the most traffic, most room. They're in the, down at the bottom right-hand corner as I'm looking at this. Whenever I put my boat in at this landing, it's always hard to get it in and get it straight back and get it straight out. So this is really for my own personal, private selfishness, is to straighten out that boat landing access. So at least I have a little bit easier time putting my boat in when I do that. So that's the objective. We are, again, close to some woods and wetlands, so we're on as we go. We show the existing boardwalk along the bend of the river there, but then we wanted to add a small more boardwalk around that takes you all the way to what we're dubbing the kayak docks over there, and those are existing docks. And it's a nice way to connect you to those existing docks along the river. You're on top of the water, you're not on the land, you're not disturbing that natural edge along the water. Probably going to be a great fish habitat too. That edge. Following along, let's just stay on the river for that matter. As you come down to the next bend, there's another small little fishing pier, and then we've got 3 fingered fishing piers that come out on the second bend of the river that we have. Again, those are just fingers that come out, not really connected to the boardwalk, but it's more opportunities for doing fishing, just enjoying the river, without actually having to be on the boat. And then there's a series of paths, and really that's the extent of the inside of the preserve. We have a series of paths with some picnic shelters, hard paths, soft paths. We're gonna have to find the best way to jump over some ditches and some soft spots to get some boardwalks. When we started to go through our budget, we started putting some numbers for what a 20-foot bridge boardwalk would be. Along the top is a multi-use path. We're calling it a head and bike path. About 10 feet wide. It's paved, it's asphalt. It's to connect bikeway from Dorchester all the way around eventually to Salt Branch. Now, so this is an extension of the existing bike path. It's a great way to, this might become a terminus, a point where people, a destination, a point where people might go. You get a little reward, you get a Dunkin' Donuts, or you go to McDonald's, get an ice cream coming out, you like 12 miles from town Somerville, so it's a nice destination. Do a little entry at the one side, and maybe a sign and a swing, just to know, hey, you're entering the park. And then a series of paths inside, a little picnic area. We'd like to do 3 picnic gazebos, and you can see them clustered right there. And there's a restroom right here. Again, we tried to centrally locate it as best as we can so it can be used for the boat landing facility. It's kind of far, but also it can be used for the park use as well. And putting it in the center for the kayak, and that's the best place that we see to put it. Along with the fact that we have a lot of, at least there was some existing infrastructure where the road and cul-de-sac used to be. And the goal is anything that we need to bring in as far as plumbing, sewer, pipe, any sort of infrastructure is contained within that area, so we don't create an additional scar. There's no reason to go in there to preserve natural landscape and mess it up again. We'll do everything within that. I guess it's not existing right away. Let that heal. The idea is just to plant a series of wildflowers, a meadow, as you would call it, and just let it go. I mean, it's going to take 5 years, 10 years for trees to come back, but from a maintenance perspective, I think that's the best way to go. It'll be beautiful, and then it will slowly go back to its natural state, and it's kind of a good place for vegetation and exercise as well. It's really cool. So that's it in a nutshell. We've got a little bit of parking, as much as we can, here and there, mostly soft gravel parking. Didn't want to get into too much stormwater runoff or do these sort of detention ponds. And the only thing I can think of is the old CWS facility. I think we're going to have to live with those buildings for a while. But we've snuck in a small restroom right there as we can, and that might be just 2 toilets each side of one room. And utilities proposed, which is why the choice was there. Ideally, we would like to see something else done with those buildings, but I think for now, we got to look at it. To be determined. So next slide. So here are some renderings of what it could look like. These are 3D digital renderings. This is a beautiful aerial view. It's much better on the TV screen here than the monitor up there. Gives you an idea of what the building might be. Again, we had an local architect, CEMS, Somerville, create this model. It's a what if. We didn't really give them a whole lot of design parameters on what the building would be. There's no footprint, there's no floor plan, it's just an idea. Give it a kind of a colonial, modern colonial kind of look. That's as far as we got. So to be determined, go out there. But the boardwalk shoots all the way down. We have a small dock, and that's kind of what the outdoor classroom could look like. We see some expansion of what the parking lot could be, and then trails and picnic centers, shelters, restroom throughout. So next slide. We can run through this pretty fast. A little bit close-up view. That might be the restroom facility right there. Existing buildings. Enhance the parking lot a little bit. Next slide. This is the existing shelter that's there now. And it gives you an idea of what we could do along the river edge. Create a pathway, put some swings there, get a little more activity. Right now, it's kind of, it's just there. We're going to give it an edge, kind of eroding a little bit. It's just trickling apart. So we're going to give it an edge so you can sit and enjoy it. Next slide. There's the boat ramp. Again, right now, this shelter is surrounded by asphalt. And I'd like to break that up a little bit. Break up that asphalt, a little bit of green in there, and soften it a little bit. Also gives you an idea of what the parking lot might look like. Right now, there are no islands in the parking lot at all. These planted islands. And what we're doing is adding some planting islands to give you a little bit more circulational control, as we call it. Softens things up a little bit. Adds a little shade. At least you get a small piece of shade for your car when you're out in the boat. Next slide, please. This is a view of the existing boardwalk and how it might connect to the new and future boardwalk with the kayak docks. You're really on the river, and that's what we heard. We want to be on the river. We want access to the river. That's the most important thing. So by dividing that boardwalk around, you're on the river. That's the access. It's a great place to fish, enjoy the wildlife. Next slide, please. More views from the boardwalk, looking at the kayak launch, kayak docks. And then next slide. Existing kayak docks with kind of the end terminus pierhead there, which takes you then back inland. Okay. And this is looking at that, from that amphitheater classroom, looking back at the building. It's quite an architectural sightline that we like to do. It gives you a very good indication as to the strength of the alignment that we're looking for. The back of the building has got this big glass structure to it. The front looks very, very traditional. The back's a little more modern. That's what we're suggesting. Again, all subject to change as we move forward with building our RFPs and all that. But this is an idea, and that's what these are ideas. Next slide, please. There's your building. Again, taking some cues from Dorchester Colonial State Park, what some of those buildings may have looked like, colonial building, knowing that we don't build buildings like that anymore, but at least it can give it some of that look, some signage there. Here's your entry feature. Next slide. And then again, wrapping it up, I think this is it. That's your multi-purpose building. I'm sitting on the block there with the linear dock, boardwalk, and up the back. So we have the entry feature there. So, some good pictures of what we are proposing. Next slide. So, cost. We're looking at a large budget number for this, and that's really what we're looking at. These are budgets. We've calculated all of our quantities for everything we're suggesting. We're using our best guess judgments based on recent projects that we've done. We've spoken to engineers, we've given terms and ideas. We check on where we are pricing. As we all know, construction prices are fluctuating right now. Wood is going down every day just about. So at the moment, these are our budget numbers. It's a big number. $6.1 million for the dream, everything we're looking at. And we've broken it down into sections rather than phases, because we're not really sure where we want to start. I have some ideas, but we can give you an idea of what each section might go for. Next slide, please. So just starting with the red section, which is the boardwalk, the piers, and some pathways. We've broken it down into all the different pieces and parts: shade structures, the elevated trail, hard surface, and then the pier heads. And then we always are going to add the hard cost, the soft costs, which is surveying, design, engineering, and permitting. We always try to cover ourselves for the contingency there. So that's about a $900K scope of work. Right? Next slide. And the orange section, which is a gravel parking lot and a meadow path, as I would call it, and then connects to the picnic area. And about $312,000. Next slide. The yellow section, which is a lot of bike path, more hard surfaces and soft surfaces. Kiosk in there, $583,000. Big round numbers that we're doing that. Next slide, please. Green, more paths, pedestrian bridges, bathrooms. Green, $377,000. Next slide. Blue section, which was really a small area up here and the entry. Picnic areas down there. $314,000. And then I think we had one individual. Piers, parking lot expansion. Weather mitigation that we might do. Again, we're not really sure how much spending we need to do at all. That's a little bit over $1 million. And I think the last one is the purple section, violet section, and that's the building. We're looking at just a large $300 a square foot price on a building like that. So about that. Parking lot, small amphitheater, classroom, boardwalk, and all that. About $2.6 million for that. And again, that's all budget numbers. These are not actual costs. Things can change as the design evolves, but as us as engineers, us as planners, we're looking at what we put together. That's it. Now, I understand that it's an enormous risk on our part to put big fat numbers on this, but I think that's what you asked for. And I think that's at least starts the conversation. We know what the budget was, but at least we know kind of that anchor point of where we are. So, next slide, please. So that's where we are. Let's reveal this to the public. I think we're kind of doing that now. If we decide to move forward with something, choose which priority level section that we want to hit. Gathering additional information that we need to, which might be a survey or a tree survey or a survey. We can start with some construction documents, put it out to bid, and then start building. Kind of like planning. We like to build things. Planning's fun, but we love to build things too. That's how we enjoy. I think that's it. Next slide. That's it. That's it. So, questions? I know I raced through that, but there was a method to the madness to make sure that we have time to answer any questions or comments.
If I may bring up a few things, and some of them happened today before we go on with that, because I may answer some of those questions.
Okay.
I talked today to the state archaeological person, Stacy, every capacity. We probably will have to do an archaeological survey, and they will help us with that. She sent me information from two sources. One is the State Preservation Office, and there is some grant money to help us do that. And also a company here in Charleston, something in Brighton, and the fellow that's the engineer with them is actually the one that started the archaeological dig on the Dorchester in the beginning. So I'll be in touch with him because he's intimately involved with the site and understands the history. He knows what may be there, because when you go down to Wyndham Boat Club and you make the left, that road straight ahead, and those pilings is the original road to Charleston going to Dorchester. And that's the bridge we'd like to try to replicate as a pedestrian bridge. So we will have to do that. What I and Amy would like to get made by this council meeting is we have $2 million from the county. And we've talked about it. We thought if we did the parking area and the town public works has paving equipment to do the paved trails. And we also, a forester thing that we can cut the brush out just by driving it through, and it'll just put the mulch right behind on the path. Because of the archaeological survey, if while the grass isn't growing this winter, we can get permission for public works and parks and rec just to go through and create the pathway for the trails. No paving, maybe some gravel with mulch because it's soft. We find something, we can go through it, move it. And as Keen said, these paths are going to be going around trees and things like that to avoid all that. So it'll just be more a brush clearing path with some mulch. I would proceed after that, not pursuing the boardwalk right here so quickly because we can get to it. And we may want to move it back later on behind the trees. But because if we get these paths in, one, you have the nice parking area, and we'll be putting up LED lights, it'll be bright, and possibly cameras, because anybody that knows that area knows that there's a lot of extracurricular activities happens there when the sun goes down. And the paths will give access to all this, but if we could put the fishing piers out here, I think that would be good. People can walk from here down. I also discussed with CPW, there is no sewer back over here. And we would have to put in a grinding station, pump out waste. And we'll investigate maybe just putting one of these brick ones like we have, brick bathroom like we have in Azalea, and just let whoever can buy and pump it out. Because by the time you build all that sewage and all, we can probably just get it pumped out for minimal cost. We can get it in quickly and not have to worry about it. So, like King said, this is going to be step by step, and we can decide how we can do it. If we could agree to do the parking area and allow Somerville to do the trails in here, one that eliminates about 3 steps on that budget that we have also. There'll still be some cost, but nothing near what it would be to hire that out. And once they get this and the trails done, look at maybe doing the end of the peninsula. And hopefully by that time, the archaeological survey will be done.
Bob, do you have any idea how long that's going to take to do the survey and when they can get started? Or
For the archaeological survey?
yeah.
No,
Yeah, it's, they do a desktop study first. I've done involved with you. It's a desktop study where they determine what they can figure out, and then there's some field work. Depending on how much they find, they might actually pop some holes every 10 meters or so before they find the longer it takes. So it might be a couple months, might be, depending on how rich there is some historical data.
In my imaginary mind, I would imagine that the fort probably had at least a lookout post there because of those 2 creeks kind of protected the fort. So that would be the logical place to put your early warning system.
Yeah, we obviously ought to do that first before we do anything drastic
Right.
On the ground.
If maybe this council meeting, we could agree to move forward on the parking area and allow them just to go in with the forester. And the forester, it's allowed to be used in wetlands because it does not disturb the dirt at all. It just goes across the top, it's mulch, puts it right back down. And mile of trail, you're going to do that.
So let me ask one thing about Keith. The shortcuts that you talk about and reducing the cost by using some of our people internally or whatever. How much money would you trim off of the budget that he just showed?
The trails are 600,000. And I think the soft parking, we could probably do too, and that would be part of that. So, you know, we have 2 million, we have the money to do the parking area for the county. So, and there'll be money left, that we may be able to come into these boardwalks out here and get fishing access and stuff. But at least it'll put people on the ground and enjoying it, give us time to get the archaeological survey done. And Rebecca and I had a meeting with the lobbyists that we hired, and they thought they have done projects like this education center was at Sumter, and it was places that weren't as historically significant and did not have the population that we have, and they got a considerable amount of money. They think they may be able to get the money to cover that building, particularly since it's going to be cultural, educational, environmental, and all rolled into one. There's a lot of different pockets to get that money from. So, and the building is something we'll look at when we go to do it. Architecturally, we'll decide that along the way.
One other little thought too, I don't want to increase the budget, but this is going to be a very nice complex and it's going to be used by a lot of people coming there. I thought about building a freestanding small building and leasing it out to a business who wanted to do a tackle shop or something of that nature. I think it would make it more convenient for the people who use the place. They wouldn't have to leave to go get hook, line, and sinker if they want to fish or whatever. Everything would be right there. And if they wanted a cold drink or something, they wouldn't have to bring a cooler and that sort of thing. It's something to think about. I know we're doing it in stages, but I think some of us have been to Folly Beach Pier, which they're redoing now. And they've got a lot of amenities there. When I take my grandkids there, you got just everything that the kids want there. You've got, hot dogs, you've got drinks, you've got bait and tackle and stuff like that. It makes the experience a whole lot more meaningful because they can get what they need there. And if we can get a decent lease, maybe, offset some of the cost of doing this thing.
We can't put any buildings down in the park because this floodplain's about 4 foot deep. I mean, the Ashley River literally goes straight when there's a flood. There is no bend. It's full flow straight through there. So the idea would be if we have anything down here, it would be mobile. And maybe even we allow food trucks and then it can change or, some type of tackle thing that they come in, they're there to sell their tackle and we get a percentage.
Exactly. But you're serving the needs of the people who visit.
Exactly. Because people, you can do well with people on the weekend stopping here and grabbing a hot dog or a hamburger and drinks or something like that.
But they'll want, items for fishing and stuff too.
Right.
I think if we go that route, it ought to be up there where the red building is, up at the top, and not on the park itself.
Right. Yeah. I would imagine we could get a small tackle shop and the snack bar to put it out for bids up here when that happens. It's just how quickly that happens. I guess my try right now is to get the parking lot going. That's going to be a big project. And open the trails up to the park so people can get on there and start using it. And then as things develop, we can pave it as Russ has time. We will lay our own asphalt if that's what we use. And on the boardwalks and stuff, he and I were talking. If anybody's bought lumber lately, it is crazy. $3 2x4 is $8 right now. So alternative materials like plastics and things like that are all of a sudden becoming very realistic and attractive, which like this we have to do maintenance on about every 15 years. If we change that over, we can eliminate the maintenance. And somebody even showed me a cutting, looks like a thin actually PVC pipe that they don't really have to drive. They can just push it down and use it for a pier. It's hollow. And it looks like a log. So, I mean, those are things we can look at as we move along. I guess, again, what I'd like to do is get the boat landing going and allow our people to, cut the trails before grass starts growing in the spring, and we gotta go back to that.
Or the snakes.
Oh, snakes won't bother them.
Yes. Maybe 4 questions. The parking lot, you're talking about building it to get it to the rendering that you see.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
In terms of the interior trails, I mean, I spoke to Amy on this, but I know we're connecting to bike paths and trying to, on both sides, trying to go both ways. I've got concern about, double concern. Bicycles going into the park, but controlling when the bicycles go into the park as well. Okay, so, just a thought. And, thirdly, I'm gonna call it concession stand. It seems to me that would be more getting somebody to get a permit to put a trailer out there, and do that kind of stuff, versus trying to run some facility like that through the building. It's something that could start now, easier to control. I mean, if I have permit, they do what they do, and I'm not trying to share their revenue, because we ain't got time to do that. That's all. And number 4 is, I would want us to clearly understand what, if we use our own staff to do this, what goes missing, what doesn't get done, that's supposed to get done because we're doing this. And how do we manage that within our working system? It's not a negative, it's just saying, I'm gonna get calls about things not getting done. I'm not gonna get calls telling me that's a wonderful path that you put through there that I'm not walking on yet. So, for each of us, I just think addressing that and knowing how we manage the manpower in that is.
As far as the concessions, I agree the trailer would be great, as long as it looked well. And putting it up here actually doesn't serve a real big purpose, because there's a whole bunch of them within, there's McDonald's and Wendy's and Hardee's and all that right there to get. But if you had something down here, people can pull up in a boat and have a trailer down there, that would be nice. They can leave when they want to. So I agree with that. As far as the other, I did ask Russ and Amy if they had, and I'm gonna let them answer that question because that's more theirs than mine.
Just for the staffing, for us doing it in-house, it's just gonna take us longer to get it done, even if we contracted it out, they can do it quickly. Whereas us, we're gonna have to work around the projects that we have, so it's just, what maybe would be done in a couple weeks, may take us a couple more, so that we're not missing out on those items. I think Parks and Recreation plan is for us to do most of the nature of the golf trails, and the streets would then help us with the pavement. They're the ones who have the paving machine, and so that would be coordinated with us and dispatch just whenever they had time and ability to help us with that project.
Oh, the bicycles also, the only paved path we're looking at is coming from Dorchester Road, coming down here, and then along this roadway here and back out. I personally don't foresee bicycles entering the park because of bike racks at the end, unless it was a special event, we wanted to have. I don't know.
It looked to me like when I looked at the renderings you had here, that there was a branch of the bike trail going down near the creek. Yeah, Kenny, can you put that back on there where it showed the different colored path? Yeah, isn't all that yellow pavement coming across the top, that's the bike path, and what's that to the far right that extends down
Can
here?
you click back to the, where it says the orange section? There you go. Thank you. So the orange section, and we have, this is a parking lot, obviously.
Right, I'm talking about the, isn't that yellow line there, isn't that the bike, no, up at the top, below the woods. No, keep
This,
there, you're starting
Yes.
there, going up.
that is asphalt. Yes, that's
All right, now, on the, coming down and where it branches off,
down here.
yeah, what,
That's gonna be a soft picking. That would be a mulch trailer.
okay, all right. So the only pavement would be across the top extremity there?
That's the intention.
Okay,
The intention is to bring bikes along the top right here. That's what we all talked about last time.
right,
Bring bikes through here so they can run through and then out, up the salt branch.
okay,
The intention is, obviously bikes are gonna come to the parking lot.
yeah.
Yeah. But the intention is not to turn this into a mountain bike.
Yeah, well, yeah, I misread the, what that was, okay. All right, also, somewhere in here, I forget what page it was on, there was $75,000 for wetlands mitigation. Could you explain what wetlands would be involved?
Well, we don't exactly know. Right now, there are some wetlands that surround the parking lot. And what we've done is we've tried to, and at this low resolution scale that we're at, we don't have legally defined edges where the wetlands are, but we're probably going to have to get into them a little bit here, a little bit into them there. It's a contingency.
Mainly for the parking area, not inside the park, if you will.
It's for the parking and the access to the parking. That's what. Because if we want, right now, the parking lot is really surrounded on a couple sides by wetland. And if we want to expand that parking, we're probably going to have to dip our toes into wetland too. I think it's not ideal, but it's worth the effort, I think. I hate to step my foot, stick my neck out like this, but several of the private projects that we've worked on right now, wetland mitigation has been a little bit smoother recently. Yesterday's events might change that, but at least we've been going through some pretty easier wetland mitigation. Wetland restoration projects, so it's worth a shot.
If you don't do anything as far as putting asphalt on some of these marginal parking spaces, but you allowed people that what was fairly dry to park there anyway, can you get by with that?
I would not say that.
I mean, if you didn't designate it for parking, but if somebody parked there, you wouldn't get any heartburn over it, could you?
I don't think he's answering your question.
I know, but
I would not suggest that at this point. We've got to follow the rules here, and you got to stay out of the wetland. What we're doing is we're asking, some of those edges are going to be gravel.
Yeah.
Parking lot, so that does help our case when we think about what we do.
Okay, and I think I've got one more issue, and I like it overall. Well, can you go back to the stuff that looks like photographs, but it's not?
Rendering?
Yeah, the renderings. Where it shows the boardwalk. Yeah, well, that one. Yeah. Is this is part of that the existing boardwalk, or does that show?
Some of it is existing. I think if you go back one more, go forward. I'm sorry. Wish I was driving. That's new. That is new boardwalk. All that down here is new boardwalk, and all the way down to here is that new pier.
All right.
That's that first fishing pier finger that you see out there. So,
All right. Bob mentioned this when he talked a few minutes ago, but I'll mention it again. In the conceptual drawings, it appeared to me that the pathway along the riverfront would primarily be on the ground, where you could a soft path where you could there'd be vegetation there, and at points you couldn't see the river. Maybe at other points you could see it. You'd have a view, either of the woods or the river. And I wasn't anticipating something that basically wrapped around the whole piece of property out in the water. I think that obstructs the view of the shoreline. It makes a curved shoreline look angular. And in addition to that, it's a heck of a lot more, be a lot more expensive to have the pilings out there and all the lumber that you're showing there. I think we could get a better product, and save a whole lot of money in the process if we had most of that stuff on the bank and not in the water. And again, the conceptual drawings appeared to show what I'm talking about, and not something entirely in the water like that.
And Walter, let me ask a question if I may. When you're saying that, some of that, if you ran it, slightly on the inside, you're gonna go through some wetland area. So you're not gonna be able to have a path, if you will, everywhere. It's gonna be some.
Right, yeah, I understand that.
That's what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, just you're bridging the wetlands that you,
More of a inland boardwalk pathway rather than a over the.
yeah, and again, that's what the conceptual drawings appeared to depict.
I think a lot of that's gonna be based on, what OCRM also allows us to do.
Yeah.
To go to apply for a permit on this. We tend to shoot for the moon on what the boardwalk might look like. Representing kind of what the existing boardwalk, how it juts out.
Yeah, sometimes you get too much of a good thing, and
Duly noted.
yeah.
Let me ask you about the pier heads that we have. Are those appropriate?
I think so. I mean, as long as they're accessed by something besides the offshore boardwalk.
Come in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's, you know, as we work through the details, construction details, again, it's all the details, so we'll have to work that out right now. These are good ideas.
All right, I had one other question, I think. Do you contemplate having two kayak launches, one where the existing kayak launch is and another one out there where the existing dock piers are?
I think the existing one stays, obviously.
Yeah.
And then there's an opportunity, and we're going to use this existing dock as well.
Okay.
If someone wants to carry their kayak all the way down there, I think that's a place where they can put in.
Okay, but it wouldn't be exclusive to kayaks. I mean, you could pull a boat in there or whatever.
Yeah, all the other docks will be open for boating and all. And Amy and I talked about it. This launch would not be done until we needed it. If, you know, kayak people that want to rent, you know, do groups.
Yeah.
Can use the other one, fine. But what we thought is if we moved it down here, this is going to be hard for the public to get their kayaks to down here.
Right.
And if we get busy because it's pretty busy now in the summer on that kayak launch, that we could move the outfitters down here where they have carts and transportation, and then allow the other one to stay for public use, because it was expensive getting the pilings in for that. The docks aren't all that much money, and this one could go right up against the docks that are already there if we needed it. But that would be something in the future on a as needed, you know, when we need it, we can do it.
Yeah.
But that was just the thought there, because we do want to keep that road, since we have a hard bed there, open wide enough for emergency equipment, ambulance, food truck, food trailer, something like that.
Yeah, I just didn't want to see a significant portion of the existing docks there dedicated to a kayak, to exclusion of somebody else that might be more boats than okay.
And I guess I use the river a lot, and my thought is from the boat club up, let's try to keep it non-power.
Yeah.
You know, I run up there myself. And then from here down, kind of cater to the powered boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working with Rochester County, we looked at, can we do a no wake zone from the boat club north?
Well, if you do a wake in there, you're not
real bright anyway.
There are plenty of
You will
not,
pay the price.
there are plenty of not very bright people out there.
That's the first, I own 2 votes, that's the first qualification for owning a vote.
You've been looking at those election returns, I think.
Keen, first of all, congratulations. I mean, this is a good plan, and I feel like we were listened to, and you know, I do share some of Councilman Bailey's concerns about the boardwalk, the new boardwalk jetting out over the river more than it has to. But on balance, I really feel like what you all brought back to us is what we as a council that we're looking for. You're not going to be surprised, I don't think, to hear me say that $6 million is a chunk of money, and I don't know if we'll ever build everything that's in that plan. I agree with Councilman Jackson, and I assume that you played a role in this as well, and Amy as well, that I think parking has to come first. The existing parking area won't function well enough for what we want to eventually do. And frankly, it's a bit of an eyesore. And the planted islands and that sort of thing will make a difference, particularly if you're able to get traffic in and out and actually provide more parking. When Councilman Jackson was talking about using our staff to begin the construction of paths, are you including in that the what's in yellow, all of what's in yellow? I think is the Riverwalk area. Would that be part of an early phase as well?
My thought is to stick to the main park area right now, and up there along Old Trolley Road, that will come later. Some of those trails are semi there with the Rotary Club Park. So really just the only trail that would really need to be added is up to the parking area and the one that goes along the creek. And yeah, and we still need to work on some permissions for that anyway.
I guess my thought from the renderings is, I don't know if you're going forward or backwards, but I think it's a couple of renderings over where it shows the existing shelter that has been landscaped a little bit. With that one. Yeah, not the other way, of course. Right. Well, these two together, the previous one and this one. If the idea is that somehow or another we're going to eventually scrape together, and I'd have to say at least $6 million, because it's only going to get more expensive if we do this over a fairly lengthy period of time. It just strikes me that not just the functional improvements, but the aesthetic improvements to the parking lot, to include, the rendering we're looking at now, and also the previous one. I think it's the previous one that shows the beginning of the Riverwalk. That's how you're going to generate interest in this. I don't completely subscribe to the idea of build it and they will come. I don't want to. If we plunk down $6 million in the next 6 months, I don't know how much we should get. But I know right now that area around the shelter, with asphalt all around it, and the parking lot, the way it functions, it doesn't function, and the way that it looks, it's just not very inviting at all. And what we have now is incredibly underutilized. So I really do think, not only from a financial standpoint, but just from a strategic standpoint, as much as we can do early on, improving the aesthetics of what we have now, we're talking about the shelter, it just seems like it needs to be the focus of whatever early expenditures we have.
So, Mr. Jackson, are you envisioning that we look at doing the Indigo section, which includes the repairs and, as I'm fogging up my glasses, the repairs, the resurfacing of the existing parking lot expansion, pervious parking, kayak launch, and whatever wetlands mitigation we need to do for that? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Okay.
The parking area here, and then allowing our people to work
Right.
on this this part, the gravel parking in here, well, this way, just opening the trails up, just simply cutting the brush out, like trees, and allowing people to walk through. There may be some wet areas, some people care, some won't. If we get time, we can use boardwalks. I mean, they do a great job on Springview Park with boardwalks and all. And we
So-
can go from there. If we want to softscape it, we can make that decision after we open it up. Everybody walks through and says, yeah, let's put something down. I saw some really neat recovered towel stuff at Myrtle Beach State Park, but it floats away. So that won't work here. Amy did some research and found that out.
We take a quick look again at the estimated budget for the yellow.
And for the yellow, we're envisioning that we can do that, Amy? Yeah.
Yeah, we did not anticipate the town of Somerville doing any self-perform.
Right.
And from council, I would expect that Amy and Russ can run their people to do it when they're slow. And that's the main reason for trying to get it started now, is grass cutting is coming to an end and all the brush is dying out. So then you may have some free time to try to push this through. And particularly just opening it up, I hired somebody to do my land, and kind of went crazy. Left my property with the thing. They can cut the trail faster than you can walk. Matter of fact, I was running and couldn't catch them. So it will not take long to open these up, and they can even open up what may in the future be paved, and you can walk on it. And I'm sure that you can raise enough to bike on it too. Yeah.
It would just seem to me that the indigo section, the yellow section, and the existing section together, is a pretty good starting point for this part. And if yellow and indigo together are estimated to be 1.5, 1.6, without us using our own internal resources, and we talk about using some internal resources, that might be something we could do sooner rather than later, but knowing that Dean called it the dream, it's the six, we don't have $6 million for park on that, so that's the bottom line.
I understand, and that's why, I've talked to Rebecca, that's when we talked to the lobbyist, with, you, John, our grant person is spending, I believe, most, if not almost all of their time doing fire and police grants. That's big money, you can write it and get it done. And our park system is getting so big, this project, I can believe, can bring in a lot of money from a lot of pockets. Lynch's County Park, which is River County Park up in Florence, spent $5 million, we didn't use taxpayer money. It was all wood donated, public interest. And I think we can do a lot of that here. The only thing other than opening the trails up and parking is if any could locate how we could get a bathroom at the boat landing site there by the kayak launch, because there's a concrete pad there we'll be allowed to use. And it would just be a nice pump station, not
Concrete pad is at the CPW.
yes. And we just didn't realize when they ran the fence. They put a pad out. But that fence is gonna get moved anyway to allow us to go beside it up the creek. We've already had agreement with them to do it.
Okay. Any more questions? Well, thank you very much. And I want to say this project was interesting because we initially thought we would go through a whole public workshop phase. And with the pandemic and COVID, and I remember back then, that first meeting we had was right before we decided to shut down the town hall. I know everybody was kind of wishy-washy. So the whole public workshop day kind of got pushed aside, and you became my public workshop. And thank you, because it's been good, it's been fun, I think it makes a good progress.
And just to let you know about notifying the public, I mean, we put it out on the website and all. Keene did these boards. There's one at Raleigh Edwards Community Center. There's one here at town. He also did about 20 posters for me that I've given out to restaurants and stuff for them to post, a couple real estate offices. And he did a real nice job. It says now coming and all that. So we've done what we can for people to see it. And for the people I've talked to, everybody is really excited to see it happen. I think it's
Selling at the chamber.
Yeah,
this morning they met with the chamber at Somerville Medical Center.
We also do the push on Facebook.
yeah, I think that we had, pretty good response on social media, and then, like you said, did some presentations in different places. And this morning with the Chambers OAKBROOK Area Council gave a presentation. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in OAKBROOK. The Trident Tech should open soon.
They were there this morning. Also.
Yeah.
They gave you a presentation.
All the hospital renovations. I mean, there's just a lot of good stuff going on.
And I think particularly with the TIF district, to get this going and this parking and say, this is what we're spending the money on, we're not using it we're using it for the public, you get to enjoy it. And it's gonna help businesses. The Eco Hotel that wanted to come in here did not come completely because the vision coming off Dorchester Road into that site, they said their clients wouldn't like that entrance. So it's something we can work on.
So just to remind everyone, through the county and the TIF district that was done last year, they have set aside $2 million for this project for the town. That money needs to be spent within 3 years of the issuance, and they issued it earlier this year. So that, as we move into 2 and 3 years out, we need to, spend that money, or I'm sure they'll find a way to reallocate it through the other applicable expenditures they can use the money for. So I think as we get through this, as we're kind of biting off chunks of it, remember that at least the first $2 million is not per se town dollars. It's from that TIF district, which is kind of how the TIFs are supposed to work.
We can also use it for matching funds on grants and things like that as they come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
I move we adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in